What if the breakthrough you're waiting for is just one unexpected instruction away? What if the moment you feel like giving up is actually the moment everything is about to change? What if the answer isn't in working harder, but in listening differently? In the closing chapter of the Gospel of John, we are brought into a scene that feels familiar, almost ordinary. After everything that has happened, the cross, the empty tomb, the appearances, life seems to slow down. The intensity fades, and the disciples find themselves in a place of waiting. Simon Peter speaks first. "I am going fishing." It's a simple statement, no deep explanation, no dramatic reasoning, just a return to what he knows. Fishing was his past, his skill, his comfort zone. Before everything changed, this was his life. And now, in the uncertainty after the resurrection, he goes back to it. The others follow. They get into the boat, they go out onto the water, and they fish all night, but they catch nothing. This detail matters. Experienced fishermen working in familiar waters, using everything they know, and still nothing. It's not just a bad night, it's a moment of emptiness. Effort without result, action without outcome. And maybe that resonates, because there are times when we do everything we know how to do and still come up empty. We try harder, we stay longer, we push further, and yet nothing changes. The disciples are in that space, tired, possibly frustrated, certainly confused. And then, as morning breaks, someone stands on the shore. They don't recognize him. That detail is important. Once again, Jesus Christ is present, but not immediately recognized. He calls out to them, "Children, do you have any fish?" It's a simple question. They answer honestly, "No." No excuses, no explanations, just the truth. And then comes an unexpected instruction. "Cast the net on the right side of the boat, and you will find some." Think about that. They've been fishing all night. They know these waters. They know their craft. And now someone from the shore tells them to try again, just a few feet away from where they've already been working. It doesn't make logical sense. But something in that moment leads them to respond. They cast the net, and suddenly everything changes. The net fills with fish, so many that they are unable to haul it in. The emptiness of the night is replaced by abundance in an instant. The same boat, the same water, the same nets, but a different result. Why? Because of one simple shift, obedience to a voice they did not yet recognize. And in that moment, something clicks. The disciple whom Jesus loved says to Peter, "It is the Lord." Recognition comes not before the miracle, but through it. Not before the action, but after the response. Peter reacts immediately. He puts on his outer garment and jumps into the sea. He doesn't wait, he doesn't hesitate, he moves toward Jesus. The others follow in the boat, dragging the net full of fish. When they reach the shore, they find something unexpected. A charcoal fire, fish already laid on it, bread prepared. This detail is powerful. Jesus didn't need their catch. He already had fish. He already had everything prepared. The miracle wasn't about providing for him. It was about revealing something to them. He says, "Bring some of the fish that you have just caught." So Peter goes and hauls the net ashore, full of large fish, 153 in total. And yet, the net is not torn. This detail may seem small, but it adds to the sense of completeness, of abundance without loss. Then Jesus invites them, "Come and have breakfast." No dramatic speech, no long explanation, just an invitation. A simple human moment, sharing a meal. But in that simplicity, something profound is happening. The disciples know it is the Lord. But John tells us that none of them dared ask, "Who are you?" There is a quiet awareness, a recognition that goes beyond words. Jesus comes, takes the bread and gives it to them, and the fish as well. This is now the third time he has appeared to them after being raised from the dead. But this appearance is different. It is not in a locked room. It is not in a moment of fear. It is in the ordinary rhythm of life, fishing, eating, being together. And that is what makes it so powerful, because it shows that the presence of Jesus is not limited to dramatic moments. It extends into the everyday, into the routine, into the places where life feels normal, even uncertain. The miracle of the fish is not just about abundance, it is about direction. The disciples worked all night without success. Then, with one instruction, everything changed. Not because they worked harder, but because they listened differently. This challenges a common assumption, that success comes only from effort, that results come only from persistence. Here, effort alone was not enough. It required alignment. It required response. It required trust. even when the instruction did not fully make sense. The fact that they did not recognize Jesus at first also speaks to something deeper. Sometimes what we are looking for is already present, but we do not recognize it, not because it is hidden, but because our expectations shape what we see. They were focused on fishing, on catching, on the immediate task, and in that focus, they missed who was standing on the shore, until the result pointed them back to the source. The miracle became the lens through which they recognized him. And that is often how recognition works, not always immediate, not always obvious, but revealed through experience, through response, through moments that shift our understanding. The breakfast scene is equally important. Jesus does not rush them into a mission. He does not immediately give them instructions. He invites them to sit, to eat, to be present. This reflects something essential. Relationship comes before responsibility. Connection comes before calling. The disciples are not just followers with a task. They are people in relationship. And that relationship is being restored, deepened, and strengthened. The charcoal fire also carries meaning. It echoes another moment, when Peter stood by a charcoal fire and denied Jesus. Now he stands again by a fire, but this time in the presence of Jesus, not in fear, but in restoration. This scene sets the stage for what comes next, but even on its own, it speaks volumes. It shows that failure is not final, that returning to what is familiar does not mean the story is over, that even in moments of uncertainty, something new can begin. The miraculous catch of fish is not just about provision. It is about perspective. It invites us to consider how we approach our own efforts. Are we relying only on what we know, on what we have always done, or are we open to something different, something unexpected, something that may not make sense at first? It also raises a question about recognition. How often do we miss what is right in front of us because it does not appear the way we expect? How often do we continue in our own understanding without pausing to listen? The disciples were not far from the shore. They were close, and yet they did not recognize him until they responded, until they acted, until something changed, and then everything became clear. The story ends not with a grand conclusion, but with a simple moment of presence. Eating together, being together, a quiet confirmation that what they had experienced was real, that Jesus was alive, that he was with them, and that their story was not over. It was just beginning in a new way. This passage invites us to reflect on our own moments of emptiness, of effort without result, of nights where nothing seems to work, and it asks us to consider what it means to listen, to respond, to trust, even when the instruction seems small, even when the change seems minimal. Because sometimes the difference between emptiness and abundance is not distance, it is direction. Not effort, but response. And sometimes the presence we are looking for is already there, waiting to be recognized. Thank you for watching this video. If this message has given you a new perspective or encouraged your heart, don't forget to like, follow the channel, and share this video with others who may need to hear it.